Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vance.
Don't be shy, fella. You can say my name. It's Spider-Man.
We got Chris.
I have the right to do anything as long as I have the power.
Great. Wait a minute. I'm Kia. Hi. Welcome to the show. Usually we get quotes from like our main read, which is Locke and Key this week. But y'all both gave quotes from Amazing Spider-Man #3, which is our long read. We're going to get to that at the end of the episode here. Very interesting that you both decided to go that route. I'm very proud of you.
I had two. My other one was from Locke and Key. It was, a story has to start somewhere, so let's start here. Although that might also be Spider-Man. Right. Is that Spider-Man? Yeah, that is Spider-Man.
I think that's actually Spider-Man. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. This was a good book, though. I like Locke and Key. That's not a slam on Locke and Key to not have anything quotable.
I wrote down a quote. It was just bananas. That's all. But
that was from the character Donkey Kong, correct?
No, Donkey Kong.
That was a weird crossover. That in the middle of Locke and Key Volume 2, Issue 3, it just had a crossover with Donkey Kong. It makes it really hard for the collected editions. I'll tell you that.
Look, I'm trying to tell the readers what we're reading, and they're gonna get confused because it like Donkey Kong might actually come up in our episodes as like a Donkey Kong comic. Listener, don't get confused. There's no Donkey Kong here. They're messing with you already. This episode is off to a wild.
We're playing head games. We're playing head games with y'all.
Yeah. Okay. So we are reading Locke and Key Volume 2. It's a show on Netflix, right? How long has it been going?
One season was like last February. I know I covered some of this because Kimberly watched it without me, and I definitely saw some of these visuals. I know that.
Okay, cool.
I know they are doing a season 2 eventually.
Okay, wonderful. We read the first volume like a year and a half ago. I didn't go back to revisit it at all, so I don't remember anything. Vince did. Vince is an expert on what happened in the first. I don't know if we want to jump into it just yet, but
yeah, it was episode 114, October 2019. So
we've had 114 episodes.
We're on episode 150. We're 50 episodes away from episode 100, so we're crushing it.
Wait. What? You mean 200?
Well, yeah, and 100. We're stuck in the middle.
But we're 50. Yeah, we're 50 episodes away from either end. You're right. Technically, yes.
So
okay.
Weird way to frame it, I guess, Vince. Okay.
Okay, so Locke and Key, it's a horror series about keys and locks, and the family is called Locke, and there's a bad dude, and they're okay. Yeah, Vince, go and remind us what happened. I don't remember.
So Locke and Key is written by the son of Stephen King, Joe Hill. The first arc of this was about a family who moved to this town called Lovecraft, and in a spooky house because their dad was murdered, and then their dad's murderer came and tried to murder them too, and he wasn't successful. But in the meantime, there was spooky stuff that happened. They found some keys that do stuff like make a door where everybody turns into a ghost if they walk through the door. There was a creepy woman in a well that one of the little boys in the family had found, and he was talking to this well lady. That's pretty much it.
Now, hold on. Yeah, that ghost door. You're right. They discovered that like close to the end of the first season, the first volume. It didn't come up at all in this volume, right?
No, it didn't. When we talked about this in episode 114, they said that this was marketed as it was going to be each arc was like independent of each one, which I think is total bullshit because this one I think heavily relies on the same characters from the previous one. But it's they were published like yearly, basically as full volumes. This was Head Games 1 through 6, not like Locke and Key 7 through 12. And so, yeah, this is just another mystery, and it's basically like a video game where they find a new key and then they fuck around with that key every volume. And this key is the head key.
It is, this was 2008 or 9, so I'm not saying that they knew that this was going to happen, but they are like, what if it was a season of a TV show? Like, that's very clearly what they're doing.
Yeah, it's definitely prestige television. It's definitely mystery box, like in the shadow of Lost. Like, we're going to have a mystery show and bring up all these cool things. But I do like the conceit that every arc, they're going to find some new key with a weird power. Last one was Ghost Door. This one is what we'll get into.
Yeah. So it does start with like this every issue starts with this quick one-page recap of, hey, there's some keys. Hey, there's a bad dude who's secretly their friend. And that's all you really need to know. Just enjoy it. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I can get behind that. I will kind of disagree with you a little bit, Vince, where you said you do need some knowledge. There were a few moments where I would have liked to have remembered more. But for the most part, I don't know if I needed it.
I don't honestly know if they even said the kids' names for a while.
Okay, the daughter's name. I don't know where it is. I keep
It's like Kinsey
I don't
or
know.
Kinsley.
It is Kinsey, yes.
Kinsey.
Okay.
Kinsey, Bodie from Point Break,
Yeah.
and Tyler.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
Tyler.
Kia, you
I
called
remember,
him Bode because you thought he was a chode. Is what you called him.
Okay, yeah. That's
a
how they
year and a half
spelled it.
ago.
Bode. If they wanted it to be Bodie, they should have spelled it Bodie, and I would have pronounced it
You
like
would
that.
have called him a chody.
I would have called him a chody, Bodie the chody, but now he's just Bodie the chode. What do you want me to do about it?
And of course, Mom. The mom character, who's barely in this story at all. She was kind of one of the main characters of Volume 1.
Yeah, parents are alcoholics.
Did they name
per Stephen King's son, apparently.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we get this quick recap. The first issue is kind of a standalone though, and I think this was one of my favorites of any of them that we've read. It's about this old guy it starts with him remembering like his drowned love or something like that. We later find out she didn't really drown. It's like a metaphor. He's just dreaming about her death.
She's dead, but
not because she drowned, which is very misleading.
Not because she drowned. It's very misleading. She died of cancer. We learn in the next issue, but don't worry about it. Just this old guy works at a school. He's just remembering his love, and he's reminiscing about the days. And he sees this new kid in school. And he's like, "Wait a minute, is this the same kid as that other kid who disappeared way back a long time ago? Him and the others." And like little by little throughout this issue, we're learning about all this.
Which I really like. One is I think we know maybe from the last arc that this is the well lady. She has she has a key that she can change genders based off of this key. So sometimes she's a boy, sometimes she's a girl.
Right.
Basically,
we find out that the well lady was actually a boy in high school that died like 40 years ago.
Yes,
but I also think this is like legit because I came back to visit some friends in high school, a couple years after I graduated, and one of the teachers cornered me and was like, wasn't sure if I was me or a younger brother that just looked like me, which I bet is very confusing for teachers. They see full generations of families, but they don't keep everything straight. It's like, I recognize this person, but that's probably because they just look like somebody from 5 years ago. So I can absolutely say like the teacher being like, what the fuck, is this like somebody's kid that looks exactly like their parents?
I know this kid. Yeah.
But also maybe not, but they died. So that kid doesn't make sense. Maybe there's a brother. I don't know.
And then he's also hanging out with the Locke family over there. That Locke boy, that's his father's best friend from when he was a kid. Like what?
That's fucking weird. But it's also, this is really cool because it's turning this in like a generational tale. Which I really enjoy that, like, and to that point of these are all going to be like standalone arcs and like, oh, that's cool that now we're going to focus this arc possibly on this teacher and his experience around this town as it like on the periphery of the Locke family, which would be a very cool thing. But now we're getting a lot more about like what their dad was up to in a way that's more interesting to me than like Peter Parker's dad's nonsense in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, I don't care about that usually, but this is interesting. Like, what was their dad up to? I like it.
And like we learn a lot about his old. We should clarify the names, I guess. First, there's Luke was the name when he was a kid, or in the past, and Zach is the name he's going by now. But everyone kind of refers to him a lot as Luke right now in this issue.
Sometimes he goes by Dodge, right?
Yeah,
Dodge as well. His nickname. Yeah. We don't really hear that until close to the end, and also it did confuse me a little bit, but. So he used to have this girlfriend in the past. That girlfriend is now the coach at the school, and she handles some other stuff, I guess. He's playing it off as though that's her aunt, and he's staying with the aunt. But they're like back together, and he's kind of using her and putting her through a bunch of like terror. Like it just really, she's not in a good place right now. She's got this. This kid who's mentally handicapped, and everyone just keeps making fun of this kid as well. It's really terrible. And it's a sad issue, but it's very focused, and I like that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, he figures out, I mean, he just is like, "Hey, Luke," and the kid turns around and he's like, "I knew it. I knew that's him," instead of it just being like a coincidence.
And he calls up the old school.
Yeah, he calls the school. They're like, yeah, we don't know who you're talking about, like, at all.
Yeah, because he said I transferred from Texas or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny too because later he doesn't understand emails. He thinks that it's like the 60s or 70s where you can just like say like, "Oh yeah, I'm from someplace far away from here," and there's no real way to check. Whereas now it's just like, no, you just look it up. You call the person.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good thing because we read all those tales from the crypts where like you could just skip town and go a town over and no one asks questions anymore.
Right. That's when they grew up, was like the 60s and 70s, where it's like, yeah, you could just disappear and just reinvent yourself. But it's like, no, we know who you are. Like, we just call that school. Like, it's not that hard. Like, we can call every high school in, whatever town in Texas you said you were from.
Plano, I think, right?
Yeah, so I think I heard Plano.
Yeah, we'll figure out that there is no record of you at all pretty quickly. And that this gym coach has forged this transfer stuff.
Yeah. So Luke/Zach, he knows that this principal, he's not the principal, he's just like an administrator, knows that he knows. And so he goes to his home in the middle of the night. He has a key that lets you just like walk through a door and lead to whatever other door you want. And he uses this a lot to travel around. It's a good power for a sneaky villain to have.
Yeah, it's cleverly called the Anywhere Key.
Oh, good name.
So, yeah, it lets you go anywhere, it turns out.
Yeah, so he goes to this guy's apartment while he's in the bathtub at night, holds a gun up to him and is like, hey, take your extra pills. We're going to do it the nice, neat way. You're just going to die. You know that I know. I'm going to kill you, blah, blah, blah. But he's like, I'm not going down easy. He attacks him with his wine glass, or wine bottle, whatever it was. And, manages to get him to bleed. They have a little fight, but, he pretty quickly gets shot, unfortunately. The old guy dies bloody in his tub. They use the key... Oh, wait, no, that's the next issue here. But there was a lot of Shakespearean stuff. I guess this guy was an English teacher or a drama teacher. And like during that fight scene, there was a line, a very palpable hit. I popped big for that line. That was a good line.
Did you say that line when we did Hamlet?
No. Did I?
I don't know.
I don't think that was me.
Is that Horatio?
Oh no, that's that. No, I think that's the king. Yeah, I think that
king.
was Nick. Nick said that line.
Okay.
I can picture him doing it now. A hit. A very palpable word, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's Claudius. Yeah, that's
okay.
right. Yeah. But yeah, they also did The Tempest or something together where he directed it with Luke and Papa Locke and is there Emily or Emma or something is what everybody's name's written on a piece of paper here. I should just
yeah. Ellie is the coach. She's one of them.
But yeah, we kind of learned this in the next issue because the Locke daughter, what was her name? Kinsley. She is all broken up about this teacher, even though she had like very little to do with him, talk to him, but she does remember he was like, hey, you have a green streak in your hair. You should try out for Ophelia. We're doing Hamlet. And
man, I would be so pissed as a drama kid if literally I was like one of those people in the little. I mean, we were all drama kids that audition for every play, we're in everything, and some nobody just came up off the street because the teacher thought that they had a look. It's like you should go for this lead role. Man, I would be pissed.
Well, okay, let's think about it this way. Maybe he's really just trying to rebuild the drama department. He's trying to recruit anybody he can. Right. He doesn't have anybody else.
It's a shitty drama department. It's not one that like is hyperactively competitive in the UIL scene. Okay.
Right. If it's already competitive, he wouldn't have to go out scouting for people,
Or maybe he recognizes that his crop of actors, me and Kia and Chris, suck, and he needs better.
Yeah, I mean, and Ophelia's not a big role. Like, it's not like there's a big juicy. I mean, you've got like a couple of monologues, and then you kill yourself.
I think it's not one of two female roles though in that play, right?
Right, but the mom even has more to do than Ophelia. Ophelia doesn't do very much at all. Like, you might as well just cast a girl as Hamlet if she's your best actor, because Hamlet is very doesn't do anything and could be played, I think, as a teenage girl just as easily as a teenage boy.
That's a good point.
Some of my friends read Shakespeare. It's our new podcast.
But what if it was in San Antonio? What would that be like?
Oh my God, never mind. All right, so this issue though. So this issue was like a one and done. I really enjoyed it. I thought this issue was better than anything I read in volume 1. I wasn't too hot on volume 1. I think y'all liked it a lot more than I did.
We all liked it. I think it came down to the way I feel about a lot of comics is like I felt about Harrow County, it was like the first volume was fine and pleasant and an easy read, and somehow that prompted me to go read more. Because I did read volumes 2 and 3 pretty much immediately after we read this. I checked them out from the library. I didn't remember much of it, but I remember thinking it was pleasant enough. Like, let's just go read more of this. So something I liked in volume 1 was good.
And I do think it does it very it's kind of similar. We were talking off mic about Sandman. I think it's similar in that the first 6 issues are a very kind of straightforward like serial killer story. About Sam Lesser, who I don't even think they say his name in this book.
No.
But he's the guy that killed their dad, and he's basically being manipulated by the well lady. And so then the status quo at the end of that volume is like, oh, the well lady's here. This guy can just be basically written off now. And he does come back eventually, but he basically just disappears for this whole arc where it's just like, now we have a new villain and it's a new kind of status quo. And I do think this first issue is really good for setting up, like, it's been a couple of weeks, things are going on. Like, he's, ingratiated himself to the family in a way that is, I would think very creepy, but I guess they've been through a lot. And so they don't really notice that he's just sort of like glommed onto them.
They've been through a lot of trauma and they don't know anybody in town. So.
Right.
Yeah, it's they want to make some friends, so it's
this person's
easy.
friendly enough.
He buys her ice cream, right, when she's all sad about the principal guy dying,
the teacher dying.
So we got let's jump right into the second issue here because we got a lot of new details to kind of get into, but we do start to investigate this. This doesn't really come back throughout the rest of this volume. Where, all right, so Zach gets his coach girlfriend to the scene of the crime. He cleans up while she handles all the I-mails. He doesn't know how to say it, and she is like writing a suicide letter and all that kind of stuff, cleaning up whatever she needs to. But the detectives aren't buying it. The detective sees it and is like, yeah.
That's funny. That's funny because when we in our episode previously, we noted these two detectives, how they were very incompetent, but they seem pretty smart this time around. So they've gotten a little better at their job. So good for them.
Good for them. Bodhi is kind of throughout this whole issue searching what to do with this other key that he's found. I don't even remember when he found this key, but he's got it. He's trying every lock. It's the head key. It's got a picture of a head on it.
Such a cool device. I love this. These are cool little MacGuffins that I think actually pay off. But yeah, he's spending the whole issue be like, I have this key. I know these keys have cool powers. What can I do with this? And then just testing it out across the house. I think that's really cool.
We also, this other thing that doesn't come back in this volume, but there's like a bald punk kid who's in love with Kinsey Locke. This is where I wrote down her name. It's the only time we hear it, I think, in these 6 issues. Is this? And I'm like, are they in high school? Are they in college?
Everybody's in high school. I don't know about this dude who looks like he's from Transmetropolitan, but
that's what I was thinking too. Yeah, Transmet. He's way too old to go to the school. My biggest complaint.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
My biggest complaint is that everyone in this book looks a little too much the same age, and I think we said that in the first book.
We said that last time that like there's not much differentiation in age, but I came down more on this. Everybody looks like they're between 25 and 35 in this book. Mom, high schoolers, everybody's built like a high school. Everybody's built like a 25 to 35-year-old. The mom, even like Ellie, who's supposed to ostensibly be 30 years older than that, and it's hard because the flashbacks of Professor Ridgway, the guy of the first issue, there's flashbacks when his wife died or fake drowned. I'm like, I don't know when this is because I can't tell how old he is. I don't know if he's in college or 40.
He looks a million years old when he dies, but in the flashback he's like smoking a pipe, but he still looks like he could be 25 years old.
Right.
They also have a lot of I think we called it out in the last volume. All of them have like Doonesbury noses. Yeah. So like it's I mean I like the art in general, but it's like,
I do too. Yeah.
They all kind of have the same face. I do think that the show has an opportunity. I haven't watched the show, but I did look at the cast list to be a little bit more having people not look exactly the same. And it is funny too. Like Ellie, they talk about how she's like this washed up coach whose husband left her and blah blah blah. They really, I mean, they like draw some wrinkles on her face, but like just give her like a gym coach haircut. Like there's so little to like differentiate her where. Again, maybe I'm just like it's too much leaning into a stereotype, but like you just give her that like really Midwestern like boys haircut that that a lot of middle-aged women from the Midwest have.
No,
Well,
give her the exact same hair as Ellie. Or use
Well,
Kinsey.
there's
Give her
a
the exact same
couple-
hair as Kinsey, just without a
No.
green streak, and call it a day.
That's pretty much
No,
what they did.
Don't do that.
No, there are a few characters. I don't know if they show up in this issue or the next, where they look very different. We'll get to them in a second here.
Right. It also
But-
doesn't help that Duncan, their uncle, shows up, and he does look exactly the same age
It's their
as the high school kid.
uncle. At first, I thought it was the dad, and then I was like, "Wait, no, the dad's dead."
Yeah,
It took me so long to remember like what was going on with this guy and what his name was and why he was like. Okay, so he's a gay guy and he's like out on the town with his boyfriend, and
he
was like, "Wait a
living
minute,
with
I
them in the
remember-
first volume, I believe, and he said like I have to go back because I think he lived in that town.
Oh, I
And
barely remember this guy at all.
And he's is it Jimmy Olsen? He's not Iceman. There's those two twins from the 2000s. That one of them was Iceman, one of them was Jimmy Olsen.
What are you talking about?
On the TV show.
Okay.
They're two twin brothers, and one of them, like I said, was Iceman in the X-Men movies, and one of them was on Smallville TV show.
You're talking about the casting and like the real person. Okay.
And so he's Duncan, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. That's good casting. As like he's got a baby face, but now he's like 40 years old.
I was so lost for a second. I'm glad we cleared. Okay, good. We got who are we talking about? What is this guy's name? Duncan. All right, Duncan. Is he even in this issue where he's going to the?
He says
yes.
He is because he's leaving and he sees whatever you want to call him, Zach or
yeah. And
he's like,
is
you look familiar too. And he's just like, God damn it, really?
Yeah. He's like, I might remember that guy. And again, this was like, wait a minute, how old is this guy? Because he doesn't look that old. Duncan looks like he's like 20. And yeah,
I was like, maybe he's a really younger brother of her mom. The mom's name is Nina, according to the Netflix cast. So I'm hoping it's the same name.
Anyways, for all the complaints,
he is like kind of a Bodhi to Tyler age gap of like 10 years or 8 years or whatever. But it is just kind of funny that it's just like, okay, great. So he's gonna have to kill this guy too, huh? So, and then of course the end of the first issue is a very good reveal. Bodhi finally figures out what the head key does.
Yeah, he sticks it in a keyhole in the back of his neck, and his head just opens up like a giant bowl. And it's like, where did the top of the head go? What's going on here? It's nuts. I loved it. I was super on board for anything else that came next.
And that's where Gabriel Rodriguez's art really does cook. Like we talk about like faces and stuff, and we've been criticizing the art for like age differences, but this is where his art really cooks. Is like this kind of weird shit.
Yeah.
I will say the other problem with names, there's something else in this book that we skipped past where Tyler, the bigger kid, the oldest brother, right? He meets this cool chick who has a motorcycle, and he like sits on the motorcycle and he's dreaming about riding it, and she comes up and she's like, "Hey, what are you doing on my bike, dude?" or whatever she says. And turns out she's in the same class as him. Oh my God, what a meet cute. And then this like she drives away on her motorcycle. And this other guy comes up and he's like, "Oh, that's Jordan Gates. She's real full of it. She starts fires and she's weird. You don't want to get with her. Hey, nice to meet you. I'm Brinker Martin, captain of the hockey team." And I wrote down Brinker Martin because that name is the one I remember better than any of the others from this whole book. And we never see this guy again.
Right.
Anyway.
He's just there for exposition.
He's just there for exposition. Introduces him. Oh no, he does also say, "Hey, you should join the hockey team, big guy."
Yeah, he's in 5 episodes of the Netflix show, so he apparently has a slightly bigger part.
Are you just on the IMDb for the show while we're doing this podcast, Chris?
Look, how do you want me to remember everyone's names except looking at the IMDb page for the show?
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. All right, so let's jump.
How am I supposed to remember that the autistic kid's name is Rufus unless I'm looking at a nerdy kid who's credited as Rufus?
I don't like the name Rufus. It's I don't like when mom calls him Roofy for short. That's weird. Don't name your kid Roofy.
That is a weird thing to nickname your son. Yes.
I mean, I do call Bruce Brucifer sometimes, but that's different than like roofing your kid.
That's fun though. I like that a lot more. Brucifer. That's a great name.
That's
I like it, even though
it's a troublemaker.
It seems like
Can
it's
we just
mocking me particularly.
can we just assume that
It's
Bruce
it's a
is
joke to you to have that ending of your first name, huh, Vince?
Yep.
That's good. That's good. Um, so into this next issue, there's a crazy world inside of Bodhi's head where it's like dinosaurs and candy and colors. And it's like his mind. It's pretty cool. It's like a artist's depiction of the kid's mind. There's like rainbows and blocks and like so much cool shit.
And like fun memories of like going with his brother and sister to like a fair or something. Like,
Right.
but then of course there's also bad memories.
Mm-hmm. And somehow, like, Bodhi is also standing in between his brother and sister, looking down into his own head, and they're like, "What? What? What?" And it's really weird, and I like how trippy and MC Eschery that kind of is.
Yeah, I guess like when you take the key out of your head, then you also like dissociate, and you can look inside your own head. It's very.
Yeah,
I've seen that image a few times. Yeah.
And I do love, Tyler is like this dumb jock kind of guy, but I do love that he's the one that screams when he sees Bodhi without his head, and then freaks out a second time when he sees Bodhi standing behind him. Like, this is too much, and like he's not, being, a 17-year-old like, tough kid. You're still not that far from being a child.
Right.
So, and in fact, you are a child in a lot of ways. So, like that he's like the one screaming and freaking out. I thought was pretty funny. And yes, so Bodhi.
And they're kind of like, what can
kind
we?
of how it works.
Yeah, like what can we do with this thing? And he shoves the cooking Bible into his head, and now he like knows stuff. It's like, whoa! And they try to tell mom. They're like, oh my god, what's going on here? And she just like doesn't care. I don't know if she's just like
she's drunk.
She's drunk out of her mind, and she's like, what is it? She burned the fish sticks or.
I mean, to be fair, Mom has had a rough go of it. Like her husband was murdered in the house. I think she killed him, and then they had another like home invasion and this new place where she's not grounded, and she's got 3 kids of like various like a wide range of ages. Like it's a lot for Mom. And I think she's a former alcoholic. She's recovering.
I don't know if they've completely explained the rules, but at some point, whatever you want to call him, Zach, he does explain that adults can't see magic the same way. So that like she can't actually see like what's like the kids are seeing him without half of his head. So like maybe she sees something, but it's not the craziness of just missing half of the top of your head.
But yeah, she spaced and forgot she was making fish sticks and they burned. Which, to be fair, like honestly, like I was making biscuits for the kids and forgot until I heard the preheat alarm go off. I'm like, oh yeah, I was making biscuits, and then I set the alarm, the timer, and then I heard it again. I was like, oh yeah, like after I cooked them, and completely had forgotten 3 times that I was making biscuits for the kids. So I get it, Mom.
Wow.
Pandemic life is rough.
All right. Well, they're not in a pandemic. What's her excuse?
But again, fish sticks may be the easiest thing to cook. You literally just put them, in the oven and then cook them. You don't have to. I maybe flip them once. That's all you got to do.
Mm-hmm. But she's like, man, I wish I knew cookbooks better. It's like this isn't a cookbook level recipe, but okay.
Yeah. So the kid puts this cooking Bible in his head, and now he knows all of the recipes that are in there. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, this is fucking cool. I'm into that. My favorite part, though, is that he's a kid who doesn't really understand like math or anything like that. So he's just reading it out loud.
Context.
The way a
kid
he
doesn't know context.
Yeah, he's just like, put
he's
one
libs. I'm like, that's 100% how kids read that stuff. I've like taught kids this sort of thing. It's not in this book because it doesn't work, but they always call pints pints. Every time they see it, they're like pints. I'm like, you're wrong.
That's
hilarious.
And
they're like, I don't think so. I don't think I'm wrong. And
that's
I'm like,
hilarious.
No, kid, you're wrong.
Like later, I think it's in a later volume because Tyler puts his ethics book in here because he's behind with school. And he does it in this volume. But I think in the next volume, they ask him, his teacher's like, I mean, you recited shit about ethics, but you didn't analyze it at all. So like there is a limit to this like head thing. Like it doesn't, they're not processing it. They're just now have the information, but there's no analysis to it, which is very cool.
Yeah. And then like on their way out the door or whatever, he stops into Mom and says, hey, after you're cooking that, if you add a little bit of this, it'll do some.
Yeah, you need to add a tisp.
Good tip.
Yeah, add a teeb.
A teeb, that's what it is, a tablespoon.
A teeb. Stands for tea bag, I think.
Wouldn't that be funny if every recipe measurement was tea bags as opposed to like one tea bag full of this?
A tea bag full. That's good. Um, so we do also learn that the memories are somewhat unreliable, right? Because he's remembering the lady from the well, and brother and sister, they're like, "Hey, is this what she looked like? Crazy." But then they see like an old neighbor that the kid was scared of, and she looks like a monster as well. So it's like, okay, so it's just kind of like the image he's created in his mind of this memory. Cool.
That's really cool. I like
Um,
that detail because, like, I always thought,
yeah.
when Spider-Man's like, why doesn't the chameleon just dress like Spider-Man and then take his mask off and then he'll be able to figure it out? But like, that's not how it works, because it's a perception-based thing. And so I like that because they were like, well, let's find out what the well lady looks like and then we can go find them in real life. But it's just a green monster, and that's pretty cool.
Mhm,
And also,
mhm.
the monster keeps talking and saying shit to people.
Well, they don't take him out yet. This is
Well,
Oh, this is a
well,
different
they
monster.
they do pull it out of his head to look at it, and he's like, "What monster?" And they're like, "Oh, you can actually like disassociate your own memories from yourself. Interesting."
mhm, mhm. The oldest kid, Ty, he wants to test it out by catching up on all this reading he's been slacking off on. Which, hey, that's high schooler life, right?
High school
And
life
so he
and
just
family
shoves,
being murdered life, but
yeah, he shoves this book into his head, so he knows all the reading. He talks to Jordan,
It's funny too
and
because it's The Prince, a book that is not long.
no,
it's really not. Yeah, it's tiny. Just read it, dude.
isn't it just an
Um,
essay?
Yeah, it's like it's like $1 at like Barnes and Noble. It's like 70 pages maybe. Like
Yeah.
it's not
yeah,
long
it's
at
tiny.
all.
Well, yeah, and then you
Um,
should really just go online because you could just basically see that isn't yeah it's just the analysis of it is even quicker.
and he tells his sister, he's like, "Hey, Kinsey, do you want to put anything in your head?" And she's like, "I'm good. I don't want to put anything in." She'd rather forget some stuff. So a
Mhm.
little teaser for what's coming up next year. But they talk about the well house lady, how she's back, and it's like, oh, good thing Bodhi doesn't know she's back. Oops, he was listening, so he knows. But how did they know? When did they see the well house lady come back?
Sometime in that first volume, they knew that a lot of shit was going down, and I think the well lady may have killed Sam, like snapped his neck when he was a ghost or
Yeah,
something.
I think that's right.
Who was Sam?
Sam
The
was the
murderer.
serial killer, or I guess he's not a serial
Okay,
killer,
yeah,
but he's the one
yeah.
who killed their dad
Thank
because
you.
the well lady made him, basically.
Ooh, yeah. So Zach and Jordan are in class with Ty. Oh, look at all these names here. Do y'all remember who these names are? Zach, Jordan, and Ty, huh? Quiz. So the villain,
Zach
I
is the
love them
well
all.
lady. Tyler's
Zach is the well lady.
the Locke family guy, and then I guess
Jordan's
Jordan
motorcycle
is the
girl.
pretty girl. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so they're like, hey, can you teach us your speed reading technique? Because he impresses everyone in class by being like, yeah, I did both readings this time. Oh, he doesn't even like display his knowledge, does he? Yeah, but he's the star of the class all of a sudden. And they're like, yeah, how about tonight? I'll teach y'all how to do it. He's gonna show them the key. I'm like, no, don't do it. It's a secret. That guy's the villain. Don't show him the
Yeah, but
key.
you just want to be cool and accepted by other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
And
doesn't. They don't
it's a
know he's the
world.
villain.
Yeah, we all know in high school, you'd be like, hey, you know how cool I am? I'm cool because I read everything in one day and I know all the reading.
Yeah,
Everyone's like,
we
wow.
were much
Yep.
cooler. We were like, hey, I rented Igby Goes Down. Why don't y'all come over and we'll watch it again? Like that's what we would do in high school. All the cool kids.
I think I saw that in theaters. Who
Did
did I
you?
see that?
I definitely remember seeing that at Ryan's house. The Kieran Culkin movie. I just don't know why I saw that movie, and we thought it was such an important movie.
I think I saw it on a date, and that's a terrible date movie. Wow. Okay. Anyways, so we've got next issue. They come over and he shows them the key, and it's like, "Hey, look, I'm gonna open up my head for you here." And Jordan freaks out and runs away. She is not into open heads, apparently.
Yeah, she hates
And
it.
yeah, and
But
we never see her again for the rest of this volume.
but she
I
also
don't know.
seems to think it's like a magic, like a street magic
Yeah,
trick
like
or
a
something.
prank. Yeah, they're like, I don't like being messed with, and I'm clearly being messed with. I'm out of here. But also, she's crying, and she's just like, wow, it's weird. Um,
I also like that. I like that Zach slash Luke slash Dodge calls it a Doug Henning trick, which I don't know, but I'm assuming is an old magician.
yeah,
Like
and they're
that's
like,
his pop culture
are you
reference.
talking about like a Chris Angel trick? Like, be current, dude. Come on.
Right.
Um, but yeah,
You think
it's
I am
like okay.
Bozo the Clown?
Yeah, but he's intrigued, obviously. He's like, I want to learn more about this key and what all it does. So he's hanging out, he's learning. Meanwhile, Uncle Duncan, it took me, again, a long time to figure out who this was or why it had anything to do with the book. But he is in another town now. He's with his partner. They're hanging out at a bar, and they overhear like real racist women, just like the worst, most prejudiced people you can imagine. Like every red hat Trump supporter, like conglomerated into one, and they're just the worst. And like their husbands are off overseas fighting in the war or something. I feel like they mentioned something like that. And they're just
they are Stephen King bullies. They are here to kill you at the local quarry. Like this is the level
they are going to scratch bad words into your stomach with a knife. They're going to do all sorts of things. They are Stephen King bullies. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do we learn Duncan's partner's name? Who is this guy?
Yeah, he lives with him because they have their same names on the mailbox. Which I didn't pick up the first time I read.
I didn't pick up on
I
that.
thought they were just like boy toys. I didn't realize last name is Rogan. According to the mailbox, because it's a Rogan Locke mailbox.
Yeah, Seth Rogen.
Okay. Yep.
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen. Yep.
We're gonna call him that. Seth Rogen gets into a fight with them, and like the cops break it up, and they go home, and Duncan got all beat up, but then the women from the bar follow them home, and they're like parked outside their home.
It's the stupidest part of this book.
For like a week, it feels like. I don't know how much time has passed between the scenes that we see of them, but it feels like it's a week that they're camping outside. And like, when are we going to make our move? Are we going to burn the house down? Like, no, I think I'm just going to write a slur on their door, and then we're going to get out of here. And they're just sitting there the whole time, just saying racist shit. And I'm like,
but also like comically racist, like in a way that like, man, he touched me. I should probably clean myself with some anti-Semitic cream. Because like dumb wordplay like that.
Yes, they think they're going to get
felt like Preacher to me, to be honest. Like I don't know, it felt like over the top gross and like calm down with this. I don't want to see all this.
Yeah, it's to me, I think it's the weakest. But like I said, it's so Stephen King. Like he always has his bullies go like 3 steps too far. And I'm like, why is this happening? Like it's so stupid.
And I was like, okay, even if I assume what's going to happen here is they're going to get their comeuppance at the end of this volume, and it's going to be like, great. But even then, it's like, that's just not what happened, by the way, which I was upset about. But
I don't know if it's supposed to be progressive, but it's like these 2 women who just hate these gay men so much. I'm like, that's really, I've never seen that before. Like it's that these women just are so bigoted that they're like, I'm going to kill these gay men. I'm like, that's not normally like it's still a stereotype, but a man threatened with his sexuality threatened makes a little bit of sense. But this is literally just women who are like, oh, I hate these gay men.
It's very weird. Very weird. Anyways, the fight gets broken. Okay, so yeah, he's just like recovering in the home, like bandaged. We have the girl, Kinsey. She is now like, all right, I'm ready to test out what we can do with this key. I want you to extract my memories of all these bad things that I don't want them anymore. And so, what exactly are the memories they take out? There's a couple. It's like her
She
fears.
said she doesn't want to. She wants to forget how to cry. Is a specific word she's used a few times in this volume. But like whatever the voice is, I think she wants to take away her fear.
Yeah.
Which is, as I've learned from the movie Inside Out, is a good skill to have and a good flight or fight kind of thing. So you don't want to fully get rid of it.
Batman the Animated Series, that nothing to fear episode, that you need fear or you risk your own life.
And so
I learned that the only time a man can truly be brave is when he's afraid.
Oh, really? What's that?
That's an important quote. I think it's from Game of Thrones. Anyways, just sorry. Were you saying something, Vince?
No, it's just like I like the touch though that she wants to extract things and get rid of things, and then that's gonna make her more bold.
But so yeah, now these memories are outside, and they're giving warnings about tonight. And Tyler also, not Tyler, Duncan, back like bleeding, wakes up and he's like, oh, I got to get home and I got to warn Tyler. And so like something's happening tonight. What's so important about tonight? What's the deal?
Yeah, he I guess flashes back to where he knows Zach from, which is he saw him at the beach or whatever. There's like, I guess, a staircase near the beach. And he saw them all there when he was a kid, presumably when Zach died or went missing or whatever.
And a few
and
of
so
the other ones drowned. They said in issue 1. I think this comes back in volume 3. I remember
we got a
more
few
about
different
this.
names mentioned. Yeah.
yes.
But so they pull out these memories, and jumping into the next issue, these memories are trapped.
And Zach does tell the English teacher, he's like, I was killed, but obviously that didn't work out for the people who killed me. So he seems to be saying that he's like some kind of, he's not a human, obviously.
The English teacher?
Yes, Zach told the English teacher before killing him.
Oh, before killing him. Yes. Yeah. So the Duncan is taking some more pills, so we can just kind of like forget about it. He's like, "Oh, I'm probably crazy. I think I'm seeing a ghost right now." And I'm like, "No, I need to calm down and fix my head."
Right. Well, he's talking to his partner, and his partner's like, "You got like hit on the head pretty hard, and you're not making any sense." So he's like asking him to take some pills.
Yeah.
Which is probably not a good idea if you've had a concussion. Like you should probably go see get your head scanned, make sure you don't have a brain bleed, rather than just take medication.
Go back to sleep.
Yes.
Or like at least put on a fresh bandage. That thing is bloody, man. Like clean it up.
Seth Rogen, not the best caretaker. I would not date Seth Rogen.
Yeah, he's really not. He looks like a stereotypical drunk. Like that's really like he's got this weird.
Maybe Seth Rogen also was drunk at this bar. And
he just didn't look like it. That's all.
Well, I thought they just walked into the bar. That whole scene was very false to me. But anyway, so he's like tells him to go, take these pills. At some point, I guess Zach goes and meets.
Everyone is asleep, and so Zach takes the keys. He takes all of his keys that he's got, his traveling key, the anywhere key, and then he goes to Duncan and opens up his head with the key. He's on pills and stuff. He doesn't know what's going on, but he takes his memories of Luke/Zach, so he can't like out him anymore. And he's like, "No, I'm gonna keep you around though. You might be useful." Then Seth Rogen comes in, sees Zach, and he's like, "Oh my God, who are you? I'm gonna kill you." Zach brought a giant rifle, like a machine gun. What kind of gun is this? It's huge. It's too big. He like points it at Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen runs out into the street. The racists in the truck think that he's coming out after them waving a knife, and so they like step on the gas and they drive straight into him and they kill him. They kill the guy, and they're fine. And that's the last we see of them in this volume. I hated it. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I did like that.
Very convenient.
I did not expect that. What Zach said, I did think that was.
Yeah, that was funny. That he's just like, that was not expected.
That's true. It's like the problem took care of itself for him because now he can just walk away, and that they took care of each other.
And then that's where your quote comes from, because he goes back to Kinsey's room to, I guess, put the key, one of the keys back. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I was." Wakes her up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I just wanted to look at that fear thing that you've got here, just to make sure it was real." And she's like, "Well, now that I don't have the fear as part of me, I can admit that I'm attracted to you. Let's smooch." And he's like, "Oh, I don't know. I just ate a banana and killed it. Whoa, I just ate a banana."
Yeah.
She likes.
And they're like, bananas. I didn't brush my teeth. He was eating some bananas at the other house. Yeah. But like, I liked how the whole time these fears are out in the jar trying to warn her, and you need your fears. You need your fears to be careful. This is what we've learned from this.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good moment of like the audience reacting to something like, "No, don't do it! Oh my God!" It's really wonderful.
Yeah, I do like it's a fun. To have this, unpredictable villain where you don't know, like, is he going to kill this, uncle? Like, what is he doing? Like, it's fun to have this character that is capable of anything, but nobody knows that he's the bad guy yet.
I think we've complained a lot about the audience kind of knowing too much, and then we're just watching the good guys discover it. And this book does a good job of giving you a lot to know that you can enjoy that the protagonists don't know, but also giving you enough of a mystery and enough fun discoveries along the way that don't necessarily pertain to that.
Right. Like, you don't know. I mean, at this point, we're 2 volumes in. We're like, 9-10 issues in of the series. You're just reading straight through, and you don't really know, like, is this his ghost? Is this like a monster that possessed his body? Like, what's the end game, for Zach /Dodge / whatever you want to call him.
Yeah. There is one more issue here. Is this part of this volume, or did I
Yes.
accidentally read? Okay, okay.
Which is
But
weird.
this is another one and
This is
one dot.
really
Yeah.
weird because this came out as Lock and Key Head Games 1 through 6, but the first issue is a prologue, and then it says the end, but then there's still another issue. So I'm not sure how this
Yeah.
was published.
Right. It doesn't feel like it feels like they were all just meant to be a single continuing series, and they knew they weren't going to be able to publish them like that, and they didn't want to keep busy, so they said, "Yeah, let's just call it volumes and say it was meant to be that way," and whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
But
also, the trades don't have chapter breaks. I mean, they say like at the end of every chapter, like that was Lock and Key chapter 1, chapter 2, and the end. But
Right.
we don't. There's no like separating page in
cover
between volumes
page
of
or
the trade.
interesting.
And I mentioned Sandman earlier for the like serial killer thing. It is very Sandman-y to have like one standalone issue and then like a 3 or 4 part story,
Yeah.
and then just package it all together and be like, well, here it is.
But they usually have like an artist that like is different there, whereas this is all
Yes.
Real Rodriguez.
Yes.
Yeah, usually they're like a fill-in guest issue because the main artist is too busy to finish something or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
But so this issue is all about Zach/Dodge/Luke saying he's going to help Coach Ellie get some of the memories out of her head, and this is a big like flashback issue about Ellie and how basically her mom is the worst person ever. This mom is just like constantly calling the kid like just terrible names, and so Ellie at one point like goes to get this glass from behind the mirror. And
I
like,
think
"What's
she's
in
getting
here?"
her.
But
She's getting her vibrator.
Yes.
that's what it looked like, but it's
Yeah,
not that.
No,
It's
no,
like,
she finds something else.
No, that's what
beyond
she's
that.
getting.
Her intent was to get her vibrator, and
Yes.
somebody
Oh.
she joked and somebody called it a fucking machine, and she's like, "That's funny." Because it is a fucking machine. But then she finds
Yes.
something else beyond her hiding spot that was there. That
Yes,
she, didn't know
she drops the vibrator
Oh.
behind the wall because her son, who has, like I said, he's autistic or he has pretty severe
he's got something. Yeah.
issues. He's like, I wet my pants, and so she drops the vibrator and has to help him. And then later she's like fishing around for it in the wall.
And she finds the glass that has like the well lady in there, but it's just like a memory of the well lady, right? Because it's not the real thing.
Right.
But
I don't know
whose
why we
memory was it?
preserve
How
these
to get
memories.
there?
Why aren't we killing these memories? I don't understand.
Well, we don't. We didn't mention this in the last issue when Zach took the memories of himself out of Duncan's head. He pissed them down the drain, like literally, just like flushed them down the drain and like pissed on them, and that was it. So I wonder if they are still alive somewhere, like living in the sewers.
Possibly.
Gross.
I don't know how memories work. But yeah, this memory, who knows whose memory it is, and it was in the wall. It crawls out while Ellie is on the floor. It crawls into her ear and like it was with a key, puts these keys in her hand. I thought there was only one key, but he puts a key in each hand.
Yes.
And it's like, what does it say? Go to the well.
Say
it
my
says locked
secret
well
name.
house. Say my secret name. Yeah. Meanwhile, this dumb grandma is like literally putting out her cigarette on the kid, on Rufus. What?
I wish Cloris Leachman, I know she died last year or just recently. I wish she could have played this character because that's kind of who I picture. Is just this like horrible old woman.
Terrible, the worst. And I like whatever. There's a scene about removing some memories of the well.
Why do they go to the beach? For some reason, Ellie and the mom go to the beach where we know something bad happened.
Clamming for Thanksgiving because I guess that's a New England thing.
Yeah,
I guess they put clams or something in their stuffing.
Yeah, they go clamming. They go to the staircase that Duncan saw in his flashback, where he saw all the teenagers. Ellie like thinks about pushing her mom over the edge onto the beach, and the mom is like, "I wish you would." And you would show some backbone and kill.
Show me some spine. She's like, yeah. Go ahead, Vince.
I could die knowing that my daughter had some spine, but now you're just pathetic, and I'm so disappointed in you.
Yeah, what else does she say throughout the book? She's like, "Oh, look, you became a high school coach. You can just like stay in high school forever and not have to leave and go into the real world." Like, oh,
I mean,
Right.
yeah,
And
Mom, but
she,
don't
yeah.
tell me that. Don't say that out loud.
gee,
Right. And she
yeah,
says that basically she uses having a special needs son as an excuse. And that's why her
oh yeah,
husband left her. And that's why like her life is nothing, is because she just uses having a son that needs a bunch of special attention. Which again, like if you actually listen to all the things the son is saying, like earlier in the book when Zach is like using the anywhere key like directly in front of him, she's like, don't do that. Like he's there. He's a person. He's like,
yeah,
oh, he doesn't know anything. And then like he's like speaking to his GI Joes and he's like, oh, we've got a replicant here. He's not a human. Like he knows
yeah.
that this is not a regular person.
They're talking in a very, very thinly veiled code, but also just like it's just a crazy kid talking to his toys, and it's like I don't know, it's fun to see him like no, he gets it. Like this kid's smart. There's something going on there. He knows what's happening.
Yes.
Um, so I don't know exactly what he takes out of Ellie's head because you see like this shadow of a lot of people that he's taken out, and I'm like, wait a minute, what exactly did he take out? Like,
Yeah.
what? I'm very confused about that. But
I mean,
also like,
that's the mystery box element of like just like what's the secret? Like, because she's
Mhm.
never said like what happened, why this guy is dead, like why he came back, like what's going on, and now apparently he's removing that from her head, and is like she's saying, oh, I tried to kill you whenever you showed up again, but I couldn't for some reason. We know now. I guess it's because she's got the memory like lodged in her brain or whatever of the
Mhm.
well lady. And then we do finally see, so she tries to kill her mom at the cliffs. They go to the Locke house, which I guess is abandoned at this point, and like she goes to the well, says the secret name, and of course the mom's like, "Oh, you're talking to yourself, huh? Oh my, you're as crazy as your son. You suck." And here's a list of why you suck. I'm gonna stand here with my back to the well and assume nothing horrible will happen to me.
what was the secret name? I don't
I
remember
think it's
hearing it.
Dodge.
What was
It
it?
was Dodge.
Was it Dodge? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So
So
yeah,
Dodge is the true name of the villain, is what we should probably start calling the villain.
she, whatever, comes out of the well and snaps the grandma's neck.
Oh, wow. Terrible, terrible person. She looks the same age in the past as she did now. So I don't know how far this is like when the villain first showed up again, I guess. Or
But
what? I
the
have
well
no
lady
sense of
hadn't been
time.
able to break out of the well because that didn't happen until volume 1. But Rufus is around, and Rufus looks reasonably older, so it's got to be
Does he?
fairly recent.
Yeah, I got the
Really
sense
couldn't
it
tell.
was like maybe 6 months or a year before the Locks showed up in volume 1. Because otherwise it really doesn't make sense. Because the well lady obviously could sort of leave the well, but it would still have to go back,
Mhm.
She
and then
was,
gets out later.
and she was talking through paintings and drawings and stuff. She communicates
Yes.
with people that way that we've seen. She could communicate through I think Duncan's art earlier, and then in the first volume to the killer. Sam.
Just Sam.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Duncan's like an art teacher as well, and he was like teaching class where it was like, yeah, turn it upside down and you'll draw stuff you didn't know was there, and he like accidentally draws some people in a cave. Whoa.
Yes. And we also have whenever Dodge or whatever you want to call them looks in Duncan's head, they're like, oh, it's actually very colorful and interesting in here. Most adults' heads are boring. So like
Mhm.
he's being set up as like not like other adults because he's
Interesting.
weird, I guess.
He's gay and or an artist. It's something related to that. Um, but yeah, that's it for. Oh no. So at the end, after he removes these memories, he goes to Rufus, and he's gonna remove some of Rufus's memories of him as well. But there's no keyhole. What? He's like asleep in the middle of the night, and there's no keyhole. How? What? And he's like, I'm not worried about it. This kid's an idiot, anyways. Doesn't matter. I'm out of here. And the kid saw it all. He knows, and he's like talking to his toys. And what do the toys say? All the toys talk at him. They're like, "Sir, yes, sir. We're ready to spring into action," or whatever it is. Like what?
Yeah, all of his
I'm
toys are
intrigued.
apparently alive and like helping him. So it is like a interesting wrinkle to end the issue on, of like, he knows what's going on. He's being very underestimated as far as like he
Yeah.
knows the truth about who this is, but obviously nobody it's like you would have to be able to talk to him to know what he knows.
So yeah, that's that's the second volume. And what do y'all think? Well, can I get some final thoughts? Obviously, Vince, you'd read this before.
Yeah, I read this like immediately afterwards. I think this is where this book kicks up a notch. I think it's I'm ready to read more. Again, I can't tell if it's like legit good or it's just very pleasant and has a good it has a mystery I'm invested in. But the vibe is cool. As much as like I don't think the Locke children figure into it as much, and even our first review was like Kinsey is the only one with like any type of like nuance as far as the Locke kids go. I think there's enough going on in this world, this town, the art. Though we talk about his figures are weird, I really are odd. I really like the weird stuff, like the head stuff. I think that the head games, the head key is a really cool effect, and I'm eager to see what the next one is. And I cannot remember what it's called or what the focus of it is. But I feel like there was a lot more about like the water stuff in the next volume. So I'm eager to read more.
Cool, Chris. What about you?
I mean, I'm similar to Vince. I did really like this. I think, like I mentioned it in the episode already, I think having this like reset of like, now the well lady, we don't know what she wants or he wants. She's out. And the Locke kids don't know who this is, and we know. It creates some good suspenseful scenes. Where you can almost picture the audience being like, no, Kinsey, don't kiss that guy, he's actually an evil ghost. It's good suspense, and I do like all of that. I do think it's on a second read, the stuff with Duncan and his partner, and the like just over the top ridiculousness, like we mentioned, Vince and I, the Stephen King bulliness of it is like, come on, dude, like it's such a out of like getting out of a plot problem where I'm just like, I don't like that. But overall I do enjoy it. And I have volume 3 sitting around. I have not read it yet. This was my second read of this, and I like it. I like the series. I have not watched the Netflix show, but it's on my eventually I'll get around to this pile. I just don't watch a lot of TV week to week.
Yeah, I think you had mentioned, Chris, that this was last time you gave this gave you a lot of vibes of The Haunting of Hill House, which I've now seen a lot more of since we talked about it last time, and I can see that too, like a familial in a weird house that with a weird room that gives each family member what they want. So
yes, and maybe it'll be like Hill House, where it'll be the ending will be great and satisfying, or maybe it'll be like Bly Manor, where you're like, boy, it took a long time for that ending.
Yeah, I did like Bly Manor, but then it just kind of didn't amount to much.
Yeah, the last 2 episodes are oddly paced, I'll say that.
Yeah. But I'm eager to read this. I think we're going to be doing a lot more of these like sequels and pickup books as we go in through. We talked about doing Captain America again, probably around July 4th. I think we were looking to maybe do volume 3 around Halloween this year. Kia, are you still interested in that?
I'm looking forward to it. Honestly, I think this is a book that I'm still not into it as much as you two are, but I do agree that it did kick up a notch with this. And like, I'm not really invested in the mystery. I'm not really invested in any of the characters, but I am just like invested in the cool ideas that this book has, and we'll throw out every now and then. And I'm like, you know what? I really didn't expect that. I like where it's going. It's very like, it is like a movie where you can like shout at it and like, no, don't do that. And there's fun elements to that. I don't think it's well written, like at all. But I still like it. It doesn't matter to me that it's not well written.
I think it pushes you forward really well. I don't think it's arduous and tough to read. I think it's a pretty easy afternoon read to be like, I'm just gonna knock this out. That sounds fine.
So yeah, overall, I probably wouldn't read this on my own, but like for the show, it'll be fun to talk about. It will give me something weird that I've never seen before. Like I legit, when the kid's head was open like that, I was like, what? I didn't expect that. And I was like into it again. And so, I expect this book is going to keep giving me different little surprises, especially now that I've seen like, okay, it's not just going to be the keys that are surprising, because like this kid is talking to his toys, and like there's other stuff going on. And so, I'm into it. Hope I'm not too negative about it because I do
No.
enjoy it. It's just like, yeah, man. But I think with that we're on to we're gonna come back to Volume 3 around Halloween here. We wanted to get another one in just because we didn't want to wait till Halloween, even though it's horror. But we'll get back to it soon. More sequels like we were talking about. But we are now on to our long read, Amazing Spider-Man number 3. Where we meet for the first time. So first off, this is our first like full length story. The last 2 issues were like kind of split up into like a main story and a B story, taking up both parts of the issue. But this is our first single full length story, and it's about Dr. Octopus. Oh my goodness, this guy looks scary. Who is he? What's going on?
He's the strangest foe of all time.
Strangest foe, the only foe who could ever beat Spider-Man. I think they say in like either the cover or the first splash page or whatever it is.
That's false advertising. A lot of villains have beaten Spider-Man.
Well, in the first 3 issues, has anyone beaten him?
I don't think so. I think he's undefeated to this point.
Well, he's getting bored with it.
Well, there we go.
Man, Peter's a jerk. I don't.
He is a jerk.
He's like, man, this is getting so boring. I could beat up everybody. I'm awesome.
Mm-hmm. I'm a pro. So Spider-Man at this point is doing a lot of crime fighting, right? The show opens, the issue opens with some punks who have like a safe in an alley. I don't know how they got this thing there, but they're trying to break it open.
It looks like they have a little furniture dolly underneath it.
Yeah, right. For those that aren't familiar with it, like this is before the concept of Marvel time. So this is like a month has passed since the last issue. Like he's just having little adventures that aren't that important.
Right. And he beats them up and ties them up. And then, the cops show up and they see his little spider light on the wall. And they're like, whoa, I guess Spider-Man has been here. Like, well, no, he's literally standing there shining the light. Like you don't see it kind of shaking a little bit with his body. And I'm wondering how long Spider-Man stood up there waiting for the cops to come see his light. Like how long? I don't know, man. I wonder about these things. But that's just the intro. We meet the main villain here, Dr. Octopus. They don't even call him Otto Octavius, do they? They just call him Dr. Octopus here. They're like,
they
why
do
do
say
call
on the
him
4th panel, yes, such a man is Otto Octavius. Name
spelled wrong.
Yeah. With I-O-U-S,
I'm going to
not
count
I-U-S.
this. There's a worse one coming later, but I'm going to count this as my Stanley flubs, not spelling Octavius the way that he later does.
Yeah, that's a flub. But he's a brilliant...
There's another one that's way better.
I think I know what you're talking about. But he's a brilliant researcher. He's built this thing. I think we all know Doc Ock's story at this point. And he's got extra artificial arms that he can control to help him with his science projects. But a literal quote from one of the research assistant guys is like, "Look, the radiation meter has gone wacky. Something is wrong. There's gonna be a blow up."
I love that. It's
like
very like 50s, 60s sci-fi, like for children. Like, it's a radiation meter. You want to call it a tachometer or something? No, fuck that.
Geiger counter? No.
Radiation meter. There's gonna be a blow up. So the whole thing explodes.
Dig that zany blow up.
they take Doc Ock to the hospital and they're like, "Oh, he's permanent brain damage. We can't even remove these arms. They're like welded onto his body or whatever. This is a problem. We just got to keep him here." But he wakes up and he's like, I'm trapped. I'm a monster in a cage. All that kind of stuff. J. Jonah Jameson, meanwhile, is like, "Hey, they're keeping people out of the hospital for some reason. I need to get pictures of this Doc Ock. Hey, Peter Parker, go give me pictures of this doctor. I don't know how you're going to do it. Hey, remember our condition. Don't ever ask me. I'm out of here. Just have that money ready for me."
So on our Jameson update, he's now publishing the Bugle instead of whatever other magazine he was publishing last Now magazine. And now he's gray hair again. Now he's got his gray hair. He used to have red hair last shoot. Now he's gray haired.
His dye ran out. He's like, enough of this.
It's about a month later. Yeah, that makes sense. Checks out.
So Spider-Man, on his way to the hospital, is like, "Yeah, this job's easy. I'm gonna get some pictures of this guy in no time. I'm bored." And Doc Ock is a challenge. He breaks his webs like it's nothing, like they ain't shit.
Right.
Beats him, kicks him out of the hospital, throws him out. He's
taken over the hospital. That's where my line of my quote of the week came from, where he says, "I can do anything. I have the power. Like, you can't stop me." He's a law unto himself, apparently. which is, we talked about it a little bit before the show, but it's like, this is kind of what Steve Ditko believes. Like, it's a little bit of a caricature of it, but a little bit.
A little bit. But Doc Ock is like, oh no, my prisoners got away during the fight. I gotta get out of here before the cops show up, I guess. I don't even know if it matters, but he goes back to his lab, of which I thought had exploded. I guess they rebuilt it. Someone rebuilt it. Peter calls J. Jonah Jameson and says, I couldn't get you the pictures. I'll never be able to get any more pictures ever again.
It's so great. He's such a teenager where you're like, dude, calm down.
I think this is really my favorite moment. It was just like, this kid, he really is just like a little shit kid. He doesn't know anything.
But he also it's like overwriting a voicemail too. He's not like, I fucked up and because of this and I'm sorry. And it's like, okay, chill, young person. Just like get to the point. Like, don't use like 5 sentences.
Yeah. I also don't want to skip over. So this is the big flub of the month for Stan Lee.
Oh, yes.
Doc Ock is fighting Spider-Man. He tries to web up his arms, and then Doc Ock breaks him. And Spidey thinks, my web, he snapped it. Nobody's ever done that before. And then Doc Ock says, and now, Superman, I grow bored with this game.
Yep, he calls him Superman. And I was sitting there like, did he mean that as like just like a fun adjective? Or like, no, it really looks like he made a mistake.
Is this a Stan Lee fuck up or a flub, or is this a John Duffy flub?
I think it
could be the letterer, but yeah, I believe I wouldn't be. Yeah, I think Stan Lee would make a mistake like that. So that's Spider-Man is dejected. Aunt May is even like, "What's wrong, Superman?" And it's like, "No, I can't talk to anyone about it. Oh, I'm so sad." But so he's at school, and they're like, "Whoa, what's going on with Peter? Why is he so sad? It's like he broke his test tube or something." And they're like, "Hey, did you hear? The Fantastic Four is going to be capturing Doc Ock. The governor called them in, and Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, he's going to be talking at our school assembly." I'm like, wait, what? Those two things do not seem connected, but the Torch explains at this school assembly, like, all right, I got to wait a few days to power up again before I can have a big old fight. So in that time, governor said, hey, can you go talk to these kids and just like inspire them a little bit? And so his big inspiration speech starts with him like using his flames to do a little like 2 + 2 = 3. And he's like, that's how dumb I was. But never give up, kids. And it sounds like a terrible speech, but Peter Parker gets so damn inspired by this speech. He's like, oh my God, it's like he's speaking directly to me. I know what I have to do now.
It's like that Into the Spider-Verse scene, but it's Peter hearing it. It's up to me? No, it's a metaphor.
and he like afterwards, Human Torch is like signing autographs, and he's like, hey, thanks, Torch. I'll never forget the word you gave me. And he's like, sure, whatever. Who are you, kid? Whatever. So Spider-Man develops some new web stuff that he can really use to like chemically weld the arms together of Dr. Octopus, and he wins the fight, and he ties up Dr. Octopus for the cops, and then afterwards he goes to the Human Torch to thank him, and the Torch is like ready to go. He's ready to jump into the action. He's like, hey, thanks a lot, Torch. Just want to say thanks to you, the Dr. Ock is captured. And Torch is like, what? It's a very weird way to end this issue with Torch just being confused about it. But hey, that is what it is.
I love the, and maybe it's just the Marvel method, but he's like Spider-Man thinking like, I know Human Torch is somewhere in this hotel. And I'm like, how? Yeah. And then, so he's just like seeing a doctor in a hotel? Like, what the hell?
Yeah. It sounds like the doctor came to his hotel to pay him a visit to check his temperatures, but it seems like he should be going to like a lab for that. They did mention that the rest of the Fantastic Four was busy doing what? That Johnny Storm couldn't be there for. What's going on?
Johnny Storm lives in New York. He lives in Manhattan in the Baxter building.
Why does he need a hotel? Oh my God. What is going on here? I didn't even think about that. Oh. 2 + 2 = 3. Johnny Storm, you idiot. Don't rent a hotel. Vince, you still there? Did we lose
Yep,
you?
I'm here.
While Chris and I are piecing together this bit, Vince is gonna stay silent. How was the first appearance of Dr. Octopus? I know you were excited
I
about
thought I know we're not supposed to shit on Steve Ditko, but I thought the art was really bad. I thought Dr. Octopus looked real goofy and real scratchy and not interesting.
Great.
I'm like, again, I'm reading these things. I'm like, this is the first appearance of these villains. I'm like, this is not that interesting of a villain to me. We're 3 issues in, and I'm like, this is probably the most backstory we've gotten of any of the villains, so that's good. But we also don't know what they want, other than they're just monsters. I do like the fact that like Johnny Storm comes and does assemblies, because that seems very in the Fantastic Four's wheelhouse. I like that. And I like that Peter used like he did like the slingshot effect where he shot 2 webs at a tree and slingshot him over. I'm liking that we're seeing some cool new powers. But otherwise, this is probably the weakest of the issues that we've read of these. I didn't like this one as much.
Interesting. I did not expect that. Honestly, I thought it was about on par with the rest of them. Pretty much the same, more the same.
The
Chris,
letters page is great though.
Oh, I didn't get a letters page.
Oh, it's something, all right. People hate Jameson. They're like, "Ooh, he's such a bad villain. We hate that Jameson."
It's so insane. He's one of the best creations Stan Lee ever made.
And honestly, okay, I'm flipping back through here. The pictures of like Doc Ock with his head all bandaged. He's a kind of a short, stubby man, like just kind of sitting there with these arms around him. I think they're, especially considering like this is the first appearance of him, and it's not like something that we've all seen and been ingrained in our heads. Like the images of him waving his things around at Spider-Man, they're pretty cool. Like,
yeah,
I know how tough it is to draw Spider-Man, and now drawing him like, oh, in the middle of these mechanical octopus arms, like, I don't know, I'm into it.
I think I didn't like the first issues. I thought that like his like bulky like vest kind of thing before they were fused to him was really weird. The way he was like holding his arms to try to get around it, I just didn't like that.
The way he is, it looks like he's controlling this thing by awkwardly putting his fingers in front of it and like rotating it like a rotary dial phone. It looks not professional at all. You're right. Who does he look like? He looks like somebody.
I
don't know. He looks like someone I know. Yeah, Chris, your thoughts?
I like it. Again, I think the book is starting to become what it's going to be. They're now adjusting to it being a full-length story instead of the 2 like really short ones. I do think Ditko as a storyteller is maybe a little tighter in the shorter stories. I mean, Amazing Fantasy is not 26 pages or whatever. And Vince has talked about how much he likes that story for just like how much it tells. This one kind of takes its time. These books are very dense. And this one is pretty dense. I do love, it's funny reading this book as an adult. I read these books probably when I was probably younger. Yeah, definitely younger than Peter, because I was still living, I had not come to Texas yet. So I was like 10 or 11 years old. So like you see Spider-Man as this like aspirational, like, oh, he's like a big adult. Look at him. He's like 16 years old. But reading it now, you're like, boy, this kid is he's such a child. And I think it's fun to kind of read that into it. I do think that's, and I've already talked about it before, I do think that's the fun of Spider-Man, is it is this like coming into being an adult story, even if they weren't really telling it. And you do already see it. The last page we didn't mention, Flash Thompson gives one of his characteristic like, and now there's my idea of a hero, Human Torch, and Spider-Man. They're all right. And then he says, why don't you watch and see what a real man is like, Bookworm? And Peter is like, someday I'll tell you, loudmouth. And I'm sure gonna enjoy it. Yes, sir. It's gonna be a real pleasure. Like, he is starting to find like confidence as Peter. He's being a dick.
Yeah.
Like I still don't. It's funny. Like, you start from the position of like, oh, like Flash Thompson is a bully, blah blah blah, but it's like Peter is so standoffish and like weird so much in these first appearances. Just like, yeah, like they don't like you because you're like this,
right?
So
Whereas like Tom Holland just like gets picked on and he's like more charming. That's kind of Peter I'm used to. Like he's like,
well, at least he has a friend. Like this Peter doesn't have a friend right
that's
now.
true too.
Right.
At all.
Like,
He has
like
nobody.
Tom Holland, Peter Parker is like got like loser friends with him. To at least be
Right.
losers with him.
Yeah.
Right. And he's a different kind, like he's more of the like outcast, you know, he doesn't have money kind of loser. Like this Peter is just like he's a dork. Like he's the kind of guy that he's like a little Ben Shapiro with like his little like wheels his his briefcase or whatever to school instead of wearing a backpack, where you're just like, dude, can you just stop like and be normal?
This kid kind of sucks.
Little
but
Ben Shapiro
we'll
with powers. Spider-Man. Early issues of Spider-Man. There you have it.
Yep. We'll learn more about
I stand by that. They're both like
I would not have come to that conclusion, but you say it and I absolutely agree. Like fuck Peter Parker. He's such a dick. He's an asshole on his own in these issues. It's not a Peter I know. So I think that's why I'm also having a problem with these books.
He hasn't grown up yet. He's just a kid. Give him some time. Yeah. Maybe 1 year later in Marvel time, he'll
have some friends. He'll have some friends. Yeah. They'll sand off some of the edges. Speaking of sanding, the next issue is.
Oh my God, Vince, you did that on purpose.
I didn't. I just walked into it and I'm like, now that we're here, let's do it.
Now that we're here, yeah. Next issue, we're gonna be reading about the Sandman. I'm picking at the cover right now. It's a very interesting, like a 4-panel cover, which I've never actually seen. I don't know if I've seen that ever.
It looks cool though. I flipped through the first page and the art's looking cool.
And I'm like, I might pick it up off the stands if I saw this.
Yeah, I do think Sandman has a cool design and is an interesting, kind of power. Again, we do see it a little bit in this issue, but it's like a consistent runner that Peter is using his science to overcome his villains. I recently replayed the Spider-Man PlayStation 4 game, and I do like that aspect of like he's like, oh, I can't beat Doc Ock. And then Mary Jane has to be like, hey, remember you helped build his arms and you're like a scientist? And he's like, oh, right.
Good idea. So, yeah, we're looking forward to that. But our main read next time is going to be all about the number 6. The number 6, why is that important? Vince, why is number 6 important?
It's our 6th anniversary. We started this show in April 2015. So we're going to be something big for our 6th anniversary about comics about heroes. I don't know what we're gonna do.
Yeah, and there's something big, nothing bigger than Big Hero 6.
Woo!
Okay, I don't really know much of anything about this. I haven't seen the movie. I haven't seen the comic.
The movie is fantastic. It is so much fun. It was made in this weird mini Disney Renaissance where they made, I think, like I want to say Tangled, Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen, and Big Hero 6 and Moana, like all in like 5 years. It's a really good run of Disney, not Pixar, but Disney animated films. And Big Hero 6 is based on a Marvel property, which I've never read. And so I want to read the comic. It's got a
weird history. Yeah. So we're not going to read like the very first appearance, which was like a 3-issue miniseries that kind of tied in with Alpha Flight and Sunfire from the X. It was called Sunfire and Big Hero 6. It was 3 issues where, I'm sure it's fine. We're not going to read that. We're going to jump to 2008. That was like, 98 with Sunfire? And then 2008 is when the next actual miniseries came out, just called Big Hero 6, written by Chris Claremont with art by David Nakayama. I don't know anything about this, really. I didn't even know it was Chris Claremont, but curious to see it.
I feel like I saw it on the stands and like wasn't interested, and then like 6 years later they made a Disney Marvel movie about it, and I'm like,
wow,
why?
Yeah,
I mean, they make it a Shang-Chi movie, so also like I don't know darn thing about Shang-Chi either or the Eternals. So
there's a lot of stuff there. Just like, why not? Let's just do
it. Vince, all you had to do was ask, and I could tell you all about Shang-Chi and the Eternals.
Nice.
But the interesting thing with
actually, I don't know if I could tell you that much about the Eternals because I hate those characters. I think they stink.
So with Big Hero 6, though, it's like when that movie came out, it wasn't like a Marvel movie. Like there was very little to even connect it back to Marvel at all.
It has a Stan Lee cameo in it, though.
Does it?
Yeah.
Wow. So okay, so I might have to watch this movie here.
It's on Disney Plus.
I don't know if that's going to be like, okay, then if it's readily available, maybe we'll talk about it a little bit and some of the differences between that and the comic. But yeah, really not sure what to make of the comic going into it, but we're going to check it out. So again, this is the miniseries from 2008. What do we say? 5 issues, 6 issues, whatever it is. We're going to read that and an Amazing Spider-Man number 4. And we're gonna go from there. Yeah. What else is going on? I'll just plug my thing first. Kiarash streaming. Check me out. KARRASH on Twitch. That's all.
Yeah. Go ahead,
Vince.
Oh, I just jumped right in on my own plug. That was a game is my show on the All My Friends Are Right Here YouTube channel. I've covered 2 things. I'm about to put in the Kirby Mass Attack video. I've got about half of that edited so far. I mentioned it last episode, but I've actually gotten a little more headway on that. So hopefully that'll be coming out very soon.
Is it Massive Attack like the band?
Kirby Mass Attack. It's hard because I keep on wanting to say Mass Effect, and
yeah.
I was thinking
the joke
Mass
I wanted to
Effect.
make was Kirby Mass Effect.
Mass Effect. That'd be a good game.
I would enjoy that. Yes. Chris, what's up with you?
We recently released our episode on Doolittle, one of the worst movies of 2020. We talked about it a little bit on our last episode. It is wrong-headed and bad and dumb. Robert Downey Jr. seems to be putting like 50% of his energy into doing an absurd accent that we thought was Scottish, but is apparently Welsh. It's a bad movie. I don't know what else to say.
There we go. Sometimes a bad movie is just a bad movie. Well, yeah.
We if you want to listen to a very funny conversation about it, check out Your Stupid Minds. If you want to watch Doolittle, it's on, I think, HBO Max. I would not recommend watching it. It stinks. But, I guess there are worse things to do with your life than watch Robert Downey Jr. pull a set of bagpipes out of a dragon's butt. Which sounds better what I'm describing than the scene you actually get.
Well, okay. Well, I'm not watching that movie, so
I'm intrigued. Like, no, it's not.
Yeah, I'm not intrigued enough to watch it, to be honest. I guess I'm just never gonna know. But that's okay. I can live with myself. That's it for the show. Vince, thank you. I love you.
Love you too.
Chris, I love you.
Oh God, something was taken out of my brain. What was it?
That's actually good. I didn't know where you were going to go this week, and that's a good way to go with it. Good job. And I'm Keo. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.